Does anybody know, I think Ryan's in the room, does anybody know what these things are? There's no test. Plenty of hands, that's extreme, wow, enthusiastic waving at the back of the room. These are data types. So when you're building a database or you're working on a programming language, you need to know what kinds of data you're going to be storing in different areas so that your storage and your queries and your functions can efficiently run across all of that. They're actually the foundation for Excel as well, which almost nobody knows, which is very sad. And the process of changing one of those pieces of information to another data type is called data typecasting. I think we need another concept of data typecasting to explain what happens when data and analytics are introduced into new environments. If you just show up and start spraying information around, what happens? So I'm going to propose a few new data types today. First up is HOBO data. HOBO data, also known as itinerant, migrant, or vagabond data. This is data that wanders free of its origin. Nobody knows where it came from, nobody knows where it's going to meet its end, last seen by the railroad tracks near a group of delinquent teenagers. It's probably the most obvious kind of data malady. It never seems to know where it's going. People are kind of anxious to claim it if they think they can get a vote, but they don't want to hug it. Let's say there's a significant drop-off in sales from a third book in a series to the fourth book in a series, or sales are disproportionately high in one province. That's nice. Is that province unusually high, or are the other provinces unusually low? Is it to do with demographics or inventory? Is there some difference in the advertising profile? Is there a difference in sales placement for the third book? And HOBO data seems to suggest some kind of deeper truth or some kind of actionable insight, but unless it's quickly rehoused, it wanders free. And then it comes back in the most unexpected ways. Book 4 was lousy. Book clubs in Ontario drove the book there. HOBO data. Next up, promiscuous data. Promiscuous data wants to flirt and bond and make friends even when and where it shouldn't. It spends a lot of time on Tinder. Promiscuous data spends time with everybody, and everyone thinks that they understand it. Double and triple percentage increases are almost always promiscuous data types. Everyone wants to get to know them. They tend to provoke extreme reactions. Nobody likes getting dumped. And they're often superficial. But the point is that these extreme reactions just suck the middle ground out of conversation. Then there's phantom data. Phantom data is the data that everyone thought was there and behaved as if it was. It wasn't really there. And sometimes those are really benign examples. They come from just like arbitrary data decisions. You're comparing calendar periods, don't capture like comparable consumer behaviors. Like sales were up 7.8% last week, year over year. Easter was a different time last year. So you get these kind of data artifacts that just float around in the dark. And then you get data singularities. These are like magnetic gravitational data. These attract other data points, but then can obscure them. Especially if an organization is focusing around them for some kind of collective decision. So very often like big strategic objectives or some kind of KPI that was picked out 18 months before the project actually launched, and then that's always lingered as this is how we're going to measure the success of this. And when data gets typecast like this, you get a culture with a certain set of figures. So there's the zealot who obsessively believes in a certain piece of information and never misses an opportunity to assault others with them. He's closely associated with the man with one fact. And sorry, it should be clearer here. The focus is Cyclops, not Clive Cussler. Clive Cussler is a man with many facts. The data Nostromo, who's the rare figure who's entrusted by the ruling class to engage with data amongst the indigenous population, but will never be fully accepted by them. And there's the data Jedi, the powerful but apparently corruptible figure who has unsurpassed access to and ability to manipulate information, but often lives in a state of hermitage because of the trauma of previous badly turned out good intentions. And there are more, obviously, right? There's the data protectorates, there's the group of people that only they can touch the data. So those are the villains. And certainly I'm one of them from time to time. And data, it's, in many ways, it's inevitable this is going to happen. It's incredibly hard for us to absorb a piece of information without bonding it to something that we think that we already know. We want to synthesize it, systemize it, interpret it. We want to overcome doubt and locate patterns and get to decisions. And it's incredibly difficult to have information just kind of stand on its own merits rather than be in the service of some kind of previously existing narrative.